about the things they make me experience in real time, giving an example in a sense that they made me look at this person, this kid in these ways, and it made me stimulations, and it was just nasty. So I'm doing it now. And you see actually two picture. This is my second attempt trying to make this video, but in the midst of trying to make this the second, another picture come up, and so you see two pictures. You see one where it's like you can see a blur of a kid in the background, and actually that the stimulation there was worse. And another one when this person playing with a kid, like, it's probably not her child, but like somebody related to her niece or something like that. And so I'll start with what they make me experience in that first picture. I saw in the corner, you can see this kid. He's a little bit older than the kid over there. I think maybe a year or two. So I give her between 5 and 7 years old. And they will give me stimulations and even sensations that are just kind of nasty. Not only like sexual stimulation, but also like a weird feeling in my brain. They can play with different reactions, try to mess with you, try to make you accept with these things, and they do whatever they can to try to get you to accept these things. I've talked about these tactics of try to break you down and then try to make you accept this, that what we do is just make you experience a feeling that you felt when you were a kid. We mapped it, and it's the things they do to try to get you to accept the things that they've been doing to others. Now, after what I said, one thing I've been doing lately, or not lately, but a while ago, is I always show the validation that I have, that not only they do these things to me, but they've done that to others. And they have this trend of breaking people down with this pedophilia type of torture. It is a tactic they've been utilizing on so many others. So when they try to make you accept these things, you think that at one point I'll be like subscriptive to this. Even before I knew about what they did systematically, I wasn't subscribing. So today, with the validation I have, would I ever subscribe to this? And then it becomes to another level where later on, right, there's this picture of this kid on the other side where that's playing with this woman. They didn't give me the stimulation, and that's because they can minimize and increase the stimulation. They can create different ways of experiencing. And in my brain, they start trying to create a bit battle. It's like, oh, maybe this other little girl is prettier, so you felt this stimulation like that, and this little girl is less pretty, so it's like, they play with your brain. No matter how pretty or not pretty the little girl is, this is the reaction of what they forced me to experience. And then you have perps contracted by these governmental entities that are trying to get you to accept these things, right? And they're like, no, this is not map because this doesn't go with the mapping. They try to dumb you down. And this is the things they do. Like I said, these people not only do this pedophilia type of torture, but they torture children. They do horrible things to kids, even younger than those kids that you see there. You're going to hear testimonials of the sexual torture that they've implemented on kids around the same age of these kids. One who's 7, two who are 4 and 5. Those are things I can bring up all the time because it validates the reality of what these people do. Not only they do the pedophilia type of torture, which you're going to hear systematically. It's as common that almost all target individuals dealing with this V2K and synthetic telepathy experience, but also they hurt children. They do horrible things to children. And so with me, what they've been doing is like, no, what we do is we're mapping to you as a child. It's like, first of all, I'm not a child. I'm not. Obviously, you know that. So you're saying that you're making me be a child when I'm actually an adult. That is not even logical. But I understand your job is to do the things you're supposed to do and then make me subscribe to it. Of course, I'm never going to subscribe to that because obviously I look at myself, I know I'm not a child. Then they're like, no, what we're doing will make you feel like this feeling was there, but we're just bringing it. It's like, no, you are making me experience a reaction that I will not experience naturally. And now that I'm being manipulated, which you call mapping, is experiences that are not genuine to me. It's something that is being forced onto me because I am now basically a human subject in a program where they are developing a technology that can do things to you, control who you are, control your mind, your reaction, your thought, your perception, your libido, your body. And I'm a subject to that. And so now what I am is somebody who is just being manipulated to experience things whatever they wanted. They want me to look at this kid in this way, they're going to make me experience it this way. They want me to get stimulation, they're going to give me stimulation. They're going to anything. And this tactic have been utilized onto others. And then you have perps who try to disorient you, confuse you, manipulate you, and dumb you down into accepting this manipulation that you're going to hear is commonly done to others. These people also try to use this facade and psyop. I know that they're obviously not the people in charge. They are just implementing these terrible things onto me. But they are not the people I should look at into as this is because of them I'm dying. Oh, this is horrible thing. No. I'm saying that because even though they are participating and the things they do to me are causing me to die, I guess. I'm saying that without them, this will happen to me. These people are just the trash contracted to do this. They are the bottom feeder in this thing. However grandeur they want to be in this part, they are not. The people who put me in this program are the extremely conservative individuals that even donated money to a pedophile that they don't even dare to say the name because they know better. And these people involved in my torture have been trying to create this psyop, which is renowned for what they do. They create psyops, try to make it look like this anything but this large government doing this thing to me. This psyop for me is disturbing because they try to present themselves as their gender is giving them the rights to do what they do. If these people do it as women, I will call female, then they can do the nasty things they do because it's fierce, instead of when men or others are doing that to women. But the humiliation and reality of what they do is women have said that there's a lot of female involved in their targeting, especially when it comes to V2K. So I understand these are just as much of men or women, they are just bottom feeders and low life trash, pedophiles. I'm saying pedophiles because they sold their soul to pedophiles. The entities running these bottom feeders, running this program, have a lot of pedophiles. You're going to hear that. You're going to hear that there is a being. There's not even the present tense and past tense. There's been. It's from today to before. A problem with pedophilia that's been coming up over and over in these agencies running this program. In 2007, completely accidentally, they were doing this Operation Flicker investigation where there was this child porn website that this Homeland Security, out of every Homeland Security and Immigration, was looking over because they thought that it was tied with some kind of foreign entities or individuals that were running this website in this country. They found out that 5,000 or so employees of the Pentagon, from DOD to other agencies, were some of the clientele buying this child porn stuff. Okay, that's in 2007. Again, in 2016, what happened is this director of what you called at the time, it was called the DSS, the Defense Security Service. This man said the amount of child porn he was seeing when he was examining the computers of these employees from the DOD, he was shocked by the amount of child porn he saw on those computers of these DOD entities. The DOD computers that they provide to the employee those computers were filled with child porn. Okay. These people now do this pedophilia type of torture, sold their soul to pedophiles, and they torture children. Then for me, what they say is like, now what we do, we mapped it. They talk about what you did as a kid. What I did as a kid is a dumb thing that they want to exaggerate to something else. Even when I was a kid, I never experienced these nasty things they make me experience today. But I did this stupid thing that it was an impulsive moment of a child still in middle school. And this trash today try to use that as a way to make me accept these things. Now you're gonna hear the obvious disturbingness of torturing children, the obvious disturbing of manipulating men and women in these pedophilia ways of reacting, and the fact that there's a lot of pedophiles in these agencies contracting this nasty lowlife. And at the end, you're gonna hear that a woman who is a target individual says says that there's a lot of females involved in this program in the sense that they're using V2K. And what kind of woman would do that? This bottom feeders low life trash who are contracted to do the nasty things they do. For me, I will never let them escape. They tell me, of course, that I'm going to be tortured. I'll be screaming a lot and then I'll die. The reason why this is going to happen this way is because the humiliation of what you're going to hear is overwhelming. I see them get agitated every time I listen to this. I mean, the agitation, they just start moving around, doing everything to change this reality because it's too obvious. And on top of that, the people who put me in this program, they are so conservative that they donated they donated money to somebody who was allegedly he was picking up kids when he was an assistant DA, back when he was 35 years old, kids as young as 14, to the point where he got banned from the YMCA. They can dare to say his name because they know better. There's some restriction for some reason. There's a restriction of some sort. But what they can do is torture me because those people donated money to this individual that they don't dare speak his name, put me in this program. Now, you gotta understand the humiliation of what they go through as they try to create this psyop. Every time I bring his name is Roy Moore. They tell me how I'm gonna get raped. Try to change subject. Listen, I know I'm going to go through some horrible things. So first of all, I just want to say thank God I didn't have to live the life of these bottom feeders who sold their soul to pedophiles. Now, I'm asking God to give me strength for all the torture I'm going to experience because these people have been humiliated by the reality of what they're part of. But death is something that we're all going to experience. Even if I die screaming, it's better than dying the way they're going to die, having sold their soul to pedophiles. Listen to the issues. Listen to this. It's surreal. It's biblical to be so validated in ways that it's just almost magical.
My genitalia. A speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism. She was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered.
To sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can sort of turn off the
projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts, and images in imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
End my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know.
to as malodorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted.
Human breakdown tactic of belief systems into human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
They would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says or does, then they started during the nights to run some kind of beam where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible, and some other times can actually catch what is saying, ITS not my voice, a different voice, and I realize that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Not new, because one main thing this program is out there, is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. I learned to talked back, in my mind, during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things, that I cannot repeat it in this blog, you know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words, in my mind. I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. For me and my family. Then said this, the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing. And then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use. The people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals.
These are typical CIA torture scripts. I mean, Kubark manual. And they do good cop, bad cop interrogation called Jeff and Mutt, and they go right through the list, right? Just textbook. So whoever the handlers are on the other side of this synthetic telepathy, they're following the handbook perfectly.
2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number 1, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number 2, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children, and they're not being prosecuted? Where are you? Oh.
They'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do that.
Washington Washington, the Pentagon's top investigator yesterday vowed an all-out pursuit of any employees who downloaded child pornography, adding that his division would review the 1,700 potential cases that were referred to military investigators 4 years ago but were never screened. Gordon S. Hedel, the Department of Defense's Inspector General, said in a statement to the Globe that his office is working aggressively to correct the mishandling of cases identified in a multi-department government probe called Operation Flicker. I can assure those with questions that my office is conducting an aggressive pursuit of anyone implicated in Operation Flicker and that it is a key investigative priority, Hedel said in his first public statement on the matter. The Pentagon agency has faced intense criticism in recent months for its part of a nationwide child pornography investigation that was spearheaded by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, which has jurisdiction for such federal crimes under its mandate. The Globe reported earlier this week the Pentagon had checked only 3,500 out of 5,200 people who were suspected of downloading child pornography. The partial screening of that list, which was conducted in 2007, identified 302 people who were military personnel, civilian employees, or private contractors. Some of those held high-level security clearances and worked at sensitive intelligence agencies such as the National Security Agency, which eavesdrops on enemy communications. Several also accessed the images on their work computers, a separate violation. Out of the 302 cases, 70 were eventually pursued, and only a handful resulted in prosecutions.
So, you hear this?
Really notice this with the Voices Girl, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think? They think it's nothing wrong with them.